can't see it if you're watching remotely, but to a full house here tonight at Empire State University. Welcome everybody in the room. Welcome everybody that's watching remotely. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and I'm calling tonight's meeting of the Brighton Town Board to order. If you are physically able to do so, please rise and join us in a pledge to the flag. Councilmember Salzman, would you lead us?
You got it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In just a couple minutes, we will start the open forum portion of the meeting. We're going to do our proclamations and our celebration tonight before that. But just as a heads up to people here that may be looking to speak during the open forum, just some ground rules. The open forum is the portion of the meeting when people can come in and speak to the town board about any matter relating to the town, whether or not it's on our agenda tonight. Just a little heads up to everybody, if you are live streaming us on YouTube and you want to participate in the open forum, or for that matter in the public hearing on the town budget that will come a little bit later in the meeting, you'll have to join us on Teams. And there are directions for doing that on the town's webpage. As we have done for many, many years, our town board meetings are made accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing community with our ASL interpreters. Thank you, both of you, for being with us tonight and making this meeting accessible to us all. The agenda for tonight's meeting is available on the town's webpage, www.townofbrighton.org, and all of the materials that we are relying on in making the decisions we'll make tonight are on the webpage, and they are also available out in the lobby. We do have two proclamations tonight. The first one is for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And of course, breast cancer is one of the leading causes of death from cancer for women, but it also, it is not just women. Men can get breast cancer as well, although it's much less frequent. And October is an opportunity to raise awareness of breast cancer, to encourage people to be get their regular examinations. And we have a proclamation for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I will ask Councilmember Corrado to go to the podium and read it.
Thank you. So, brief proclamation here. Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas breast cancer is the second most common cancer among American women, with an estimated 300,000 women to be diagnosed with breast cancer this year. And whereas when breast cancer is detected in its earliest stages, either through self-examination or as a result of a mammogram, there is a 90% 5-year survival rate for women diagnosed with breast cancer. And whereas the 2025 Breast Cancer Awareness Month theme, "Every story is unique, every journey matters," emphasizes the personal and diverse experiences of those affected by breast cancer and highlights the need for compassionate, timely, and quality care for everyone, regardless of their background. And whereas prevention and early detection are key to winning the fight against breast cancer, as more than half of the survivors state that they first became aware of an abnormality in their breasts by examining themselves. And whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month provides an important opportunity to remind women and men to maintain a healthy lifestyle, perform self-exams, and get mammograms for early diagnosis. And whereas this is also a time to celebrate the incredible resilience of breast cancer survivors and to remember all those who have been lost to this disease. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that William Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and my fellow members of the Town Council do hereby recognize October 2025 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the town of Brighton and remind everyone how critical early detection is in the fight against breast cancer. And I will just add that not everyone knows their genetic history, which makes the self-examination and periodic exams extra important. I'm an adoptee, did not know my genetic history until recently, and only recently learned that I do have a connection to breast cancer. And I'm grateful that prior to that knowledge, I had a regular examination and have maintained good health so far, but I know I need to watch closely. So everyone, regardless of your circumstances, do pay attention, do get those mammograms, and take good care of yourselves.
Thank you, Christine, and that's great advice. Appreciate that. Wow. This past Monday, October 20th, was the primary day of Diwali. Diwali, as we all know, is an important festival for South Asians of various different faith traditions. It celebrates the triumph of light over darkness, good over evil, darkness over light. In a broadly diverse community like Brighton, we're pleased to be able to be a part of this celebration and other celebrations that are so meaningful to the community. And I'm pleased tonight to be able to introduce Diwali to members of the Brighton community that may not be as aware of the importance of this celebration, folks that may be watching live streamed. So I am going to read this proclamation, but first I would like to invite Alpa Kandar to join me here at the podium. Alpa. Whereas Diwali is a 5-day-long celebration that starts upon the new moon of the Hindu month Kartika and that symbolizes the triumph of light over darkness, knowledge over ignorance, and good over evil. Whereas it is estimated that worldwide more than 1 billion Hindus, Sikhs, Jains, and Buddhists celebrate Diwali, the festival of lights. And whereas Diwali is celebrated by many local families who decorate their homes with diyas, or lamps, rangolis, designs made on the floor, or other surface of colored sand, powder, rice, flower petals, and lights, or candles, electric lights, while sharing sweets and exchanging gifts. More to follow on those sweets in a moment. And whereas tonight, as we celebrate Diwali, we recognize Alpa Kandar, a dedicated chemistry teacher at Brighton High School and first-generation Indian American who enjoys sharing the traditions of India and South Asia. And whereas at Brighton High School, Alpa embraces her students and South Asian culture by serving as the advisor to the Bollywood Dance Club and the South Asian Student Society, which raised money this year to cater an after-school Diwali party and organize Diwali-themed art displays that were stationed throughout the school. Whereas the town of Brighton is enriched by residents like Alpa, who create spaces to experience the culture of other countries, other traditions, making Brighton a globally minded and diverse community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, along with the members of the Town Council, do hereby recognize October 18th through 23rd, 2025 as Diwali in the town of Brighton We thank Alpa Kandahar for her devotion to educating others and encourage all Brightonians to learn more about the festival of Diwali so that we may all embrace the uniting concept of the triumph of good over evil. And this proclamation has been signed today, this 22nd day of October, 2025, by myself and by my colleagues on the town board. Alpa, it's a great privilege to be able to present this proclamation to you. I know you'll be receiving on behalf of the entire Indian and South Asian community, which is so beautifully represented here in the room tonight. Maybe we can slide out next to the podium so we can get come on out, and we can get a photo out with the proclamation. Good. And I'd love to have you say a few words if you'd like.
Sure. I want to say that, I'm thinking about my parents and my grandparents today and thinking about the immigrant story that we all share together. And, as I was thinking about this, as a child, I was born in Detroit. My parents were recently immigrated. And
We'll talk more about that.
I was only there until I was like a month old, but I grew up in the suburbs of Philadelphia, and I went to a very, very large high school, and I was one of like 2 or 3 people in a class of 800 students, and I think that it took a while until I got to high school to really embrace the idea of accepting my cultural identity, and I think those of us in the Indian diaspora share that sense of always having this dual sense of feeling very American and also very Indian at the same time, and really valuing both of those aspects of our identity. And I couldn't have imagined in my wildest dreams that anyone in my high school would have known what Diwali is, let alone that it would be celebrated or that we'd have a day off. And so here now my students thinking of me at their age, and I have Sahej. Sahej, come up here for a second. So she is my current president of the South Asian Society, and so thankful for her being here with me today. She's my 4th co-president, along with Sneha, who couldn't make it today. And, the only reason I'm in this role is I didn't start this club, the students did. And so I don't know if Shweta's here today, but Arushi Narang asked me to run a South Asian Society. She wanted to have a club, and I said, sure, I'll support you. And then your daughter, Marissa, was also president, and Gaurang Ketan was president, and Tara Lama was the president, and now Sahej and Sneha have taken over. So I'm really here to support and celebrate them. I just feel so lucky for them that they get to celebrate Diwali, and we had a full school-wide event. Our students did rangoli with sidewalk chalk outside of the building, and we had diyas throughout the school, and they decorated mandalas, and everyone had some mango candy. I bought all the mango candy in Rochester for the students at the high school, and we had a really wonderful celebration. So thank you. I'm very, very, very grateful. This is a really meaningful honor. While a small gesture, it does mean a lot to me. So happy Diwali.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Truly, happy Diwali. This is, those of you that were already in the room must have seen my jaw drop. We have never seen this big a crowd. Alpa, it's a tribute to you personally, but it's also a tribute to the significance of the celebration. I do want to acknowledge we have Brighton Board of Education member Christina Lee is with us today. We also have Brighton Town Judge Vic Vilkew and many, many other leaders and volunteers in the community. And your role in making Brighton a better community means so much, not just to me, not just to those of us in the room, but to the community at large, even people who may not know you or understand the importance of the celebrations, Diwali or other events, you make Brighton and the greater Rochester community a better place for all of us. We have this beautiful display here. Unfortunately, we are tenants in the Empire State University building. And so, unfortunately, we couldn't have real oil lit tonight. Wonderful.
Put all of them in
Wow.
I didn't even know these things existed.
Wow. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. This is meaningful beyond words. Yes? Would you like to come on up to the podium?
I want to do this. I went to my ICC yesterday, and we had a big festival. And then I had the Diwali at home, and then everybody came to my house. It was so much fun. And then I did all the prayers, and then everybody loved that, and then I had fun. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned the ICC, because the ICC is such an important institution in this community. And I know the ICC, whenever I have the opportunity to be there for events, you welcome me with open arms, and the feeling is mutual. So thank you beyond words. Yes, if you'd like to come up, just so people.
I want to say something. I'm glad that Alpha has done it in the big way, but I do remember my son, when Dr. Rao, Lakshmi is right here, she was a chemistry teacher at Brighton also, now she's retired. At that time, some of the students, they all get together. They didn't do the celebration big, but they all decided, I'm talking about in 2004, because they all decided, since it's our festival, they all decided to dress up in Indian outfits throughout the day. They didn't mind, so they wanted people to know it's a festival, it's our festival, and we do want to celebrate. And so maybe Lakshmi wants to add something to that. So
Feel free, Lakshmi, please.
Yeah, please. Lakshmi and I go a long way.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. And it's really a great honor for all of us and for the Indian community to be represented this big way, and for all the cultures, different cultures coming together. And this only brings the unity between different faiths and different cultures. So it's a very big moment for all of us. And as Neelam, Mrs. Bajaj was saying, this started long time back because the children themselves are interested to know the various cultures. So I remember, like she's saying, the children, and not only the children, the fellow teachers also were dressing up and really coming together. And then, like Mrs. Kandhar, then when she came on, then it has already, has gone to a different level now, because there is a lot more awareness in the community. So for this, we really thank you for the opportunity.
To celebrate the event, we have brought some snacks for you guys. And the ingredients are written, so please feel free to enjoy those.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mr. Supervisor, I want to say one thing on behalf of the community. Living in Brighton, it is so special to us, and you cannot believe, and that's why we're all here. It is, and it's been a busy week this is the last day, so we've had events, starting Friday, and we've been going every day. So, but this is such a big deal. The fact that this town, that all of you on this board, led by you, Mr. Supervisor, and Dr. Rao, one of your former students, is sitting there.
Yes.
Right at that end, he made it to the other side. Oh, and Captain.
There you go.
By the way, those of you who don't know, Captain Karch is also a celebrant of Diwali. His wife is South Asian, and and he's got family right here with him. So I want to say thank you so much, Mr. Supervisor, for opening up this town, for making it a home. In fact, we have some of our neighbors from Pittsford who came here because this is such a big deal to be able to be recognized in this way. The second thing, I want to underscore what Alpa does for us, what Ms. Kandar does for us as a teacher. You were pretty humble about what you said, but the most important thing for those of us who are Indian American is to make sure that our kids have that continuity and that connection with their culture. And my kids are still in, the two here, Arjun and Sonia, they're still in elementary school, but when they get to high school, I'm so excited that they will have the organization that all of you students have started for them, and you shepherded, and it's an immense deal for us to have that level of continuity, and it's one of our biggest fears that we're going to lose connectivity with our culture. So what you do is tremendously important. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
I'm just going to ask real quickly, is there anyone that is here to speak during the public hearing tonight? I don't see anybody, so with the board's permission, I'm going to suggest that we take a 5 to 10 minute break. We appreciate the fact that you have brought sweets to us as part of this beautiful display, and I want to take a 5-minute break to give everybody the chance to thank all of you, because we are grateful to all of you. But it's 7:30, and we could all use some sweets. And we want to join in that way in this celebration. So with everybody's consent, we'll take a 5-minute break, and then we'll be right back to continue the meeting. Welcome back, everybody. For those that missed it, we took a break so we could join with members of the Indian and the South Asian community to celebrate Diwali. Thank you again to everybody that came tonight. Truly the biggest crowd that I have ever seen at a town board meeting, and wonderful to be able to honor Alpa Kandar for her contribution as a leader at Brighton High School, mentoring Indian students there. Thank you to everybody that made tonight possible. We'll now continue to our open forum portion of the meeting. As I mentioned before, we hold an open forum at the start of every town board meeting. Open forum is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board concerning any matter, whether or not it's on the agenda tonight. But I would note that if you are here and planning to speak at tonight's second public hearing on the 2026 town budget and the special district charges, budgets, and assessment rolls, I would encourage you to wait until we open that public hearing so your comments can be included in the record of the hearing. In a moment, I'll invite people to speak if they're here and raise their hand. We'll also, if there are people joining us on Teams, can also join us, but we'll start with people here in the room. When I do call on you, please come up to the podium to speak. As I mentioned, if you're watching us on the live stream, you'll have to join us on Teams in order to speak tonight during the public hearing. And there are instructions for doing that on the town's webpage, www.townofbrighton.org. And by the way, I'm going to mention, since I mentioned the webpage, the state of New York has adopted a new requirement that most municipalities with a population of over 1,500 migrate to .gov web pages. We initially became a townofbrighton.org because townofbrighton.gov was taken. But we will be transitioning next month to brightonny.gov. Our existing web address will continue to work for at least a year, if not longer. But just a heads up that that's going to be coming. During the open forum, I would ask all of our speakers, whether you're in person or speaking remotely, to limit your remarks to 3 minutes. I'll give you a 30-second warning when your time is expiring. We may not be able to answer all of your questions this evening, particularly if your question relates to a matter that's not on our agenda tonight. But our goal here and at every town board meeting is to give you, the public, the opportunity to speak with us and discuss questions or concerns that you might have. So please address your remarks during the open forum to the town board, not to other speakers. Please avoid personal attacks and outbursts of any kind, applause, boos, that sort of thing. We'll ask you if there are outbursts, we'll ask you to stop. We don't want to be punitive, but if those outbursts continue or if other directions are not followed, we may take further action, including ending your speaking time early. So I don't expect we'll have to do that. We haven't, but just to make that clear. So is there anyone here in the room that would like to speak during the open forum? And I have to call on you since I missed seeing you before. Please come to the podium, and if you would, please state your name and address.
My name's Karen Malecki. I thank you, first of all, for allowing me to speak. I live at 63 Commodore Parkway, which is in the Ellison Park Heights area. And it's a beautiful area. The homes are selling for a lot more than I ever dreamed. For example, the house across the street from me sold for $500,000, $515,000. And then one up the street, 500, and another one, 500. So I have a little home in the middle of this beautiful area. And when I got the estimate for the proposed taxes, I was surprised that my little home could possibly, the taxes could more than double. The value almost doubled.
And let me
Is
just,
there a, yeah? Yes, please.
the fact that your assessed valuation doubled, which is about average, actually, for what we saw during this process,
Yes.
doesn't mean that your taxes would double.
Okay, they did on that proposal, they did. And it was more than my neighbors. It made me like, more than the value of my home. Their homes are all much larger than mine. And so I bought that little home in the middle of nowhere, or in the middle of a beautiful place, and I understand they would be higher. But I was just surprised. They kept saying, whoa, I'm surprised it went up so high. And I don't know how to assess that, how to evaluate that. I just wanted to question you, is there a difference in the value, the value of the home, being that I'm small amongst large homes? And the other question is, we couldn't find a comparable to my home because I don't have a bathroom on the first floor. I only have one on the second. I do have a bathroom, and it's on the second. But I'm like, okay, so I don't want to make any improvements to it because I'm afraid to. Inside I do, but outside it's like, are we going to be reassessed? What's the plan?
Sure.
What can I expect?
Good question. And the short, well, I'm not even going to try to give a short answer. And Dan, you may want to follow on as well. We did make a decision to postpone the reassessment for a number of reasons, but in particular because we knew that we were getting so much feedback, so many people wanted to come in and appeal the valuations, and we knew, based on the very rigid timelines that the state has for computation of assessed value for tax purposes, that we weren't going to be able to fairly give everybody the opportunity to make their case. So we did postpone it. We don't have any immediate plans to do a reassessment within the next year or two. And when we do, we want to make sure we do it right. What we've seen, of course, particularly in the residential side, and we were reassessing both residential and commercial properties. But what we've seen Brighton, in all parts of Brighton, actually, and different price points, is a very hot real estate market. In 2022, Realtor.com voted the 14618 zip code as the hottest zip code in America for real estate. Good news, bad news.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
people's homes are worth more, but that does raise concerns in people's minds. What will it do to their taxes? And what you're describing, may be a situation where the opportunity to come in and get your questions answered and potentially appeal the valuation of your home is an important thing. It wasn't necessary because we did terminate the revaluation process. Your assessed value, your tax bill, your school tax bill that just came out this fall was not based on those new estimated numbers. And we will continue to use the other numbers. In terms of comparables, it can be hard. Some homes are harder to find comparables than others.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'll say is one of the things we found is that it did seem as though lower priced homes, people want to get into Brighton. So lower priced homes tended to go up the most.
Oh.
So, Dan, anything else you want to add?
I mean, that wasn't the point I was going to illustrate, is that the lower end of the market, assessed values, I mean, those are the ones where the pricing in the last 5 years has just gone, I mean, bonkers. I mean, in a way I've been telling people when they come in, I'm like, it's stupid prices, but they don't make a lot of sense historically, but the reality is that's what the market is now. So if you're trying to logically connect, like, how is it my house that hasn't changed is
Yeah.
worth twice as much today as it was before? It doesn't necessarily make sense, but when you look at the market and the sales, like you said, like, these are going for 5. Yours wouldn't be compared to those houses directly, but certainly, I mean, that's part of was so much of the issue at the beginning of the year, was that just that logical disconnect that people were having, because it, like,
Understandably.
it's like I can't fathom the fact that my house is assessed for twice as much as it was. Like, I'm in a similar price range, assessed value to yours, and mine doubled, or was set to double. But 18 months prior to that, my neighbor bought the identical house to mine for twice as much. So, I mean, that is where the market is, which is, again, it's hard to grok that, but that's kind of where we're at.
What has happened is, at the same time that people want to move into Brighton, there is almost no supply, or there has been almost no supply. That's beginning to change. And Robin is nodding her head. She's a realtor. And so as a result, it's really become, many residential listings really become auctions. And they're set for open houses, and there's a deadline placed for offers, and the selling agent really conducts an auction effectively. And like any other auction, if you've got 2 or 3 or 4 people that really want something,
Right.
the price just keeps going up. And
So how can you explain that the larger homes, taxes didn't go up as much as the smaller ones?
So the amount the tax increase that was going to be there, how that kind of sets is, it's where you are versus the average increase. So the houses at the top end of the market did not increase in value as much as
on a
those of us-
percentage basis.
Yeah, as a
Oh, as
percentage
the
basis,
smaller.
as us at the lower end, say. I mean, frankly, I like to say is, like, there's fewer people swimming in the pool that can afford the $1 million houses,
Yeah.
$1 million+ houses. There's not many people buying those. But the ones at this end, not only are we looking at other people which is a big problem for the younger millennials and the Gen Z,
Yeah.
is that they're looking to buy houses. Meanwhile, other people also, we have a lot, and I've noticed this as I'm receiving the taxes, I'm seeing more people every year, noticing more people paying more bills. So there's like the wannabe real estate moguls who are buying up. They don't buy the super expensive houses because they're trying to, build up stuff. They're buying lots of these little houses,
Yeah.
which then just further drives up the price and keeps, again, families from being able to afford to get in and buy these same houses because they're being outbid by investors.
And interestingly enough, I'm glad you mentioned that, Dan, because Governor Hochul, earlier this year, had a proposal, and she actually came to Rochester to present it, I think in part because Rochester is such a hot real estate market, that would have put significant restrictions on the ability of these private investors, private equity, that are just buying up houses that have the wherewithal to win these auctions, and then often convert them into rental properties. There's nothing inherently wrong with rental properties, and it's important, again, people want to live in the community, but at the same time, we don't want people with virtually limitless, and I shouldn't say people, entities,
Yeah.
with nearly limitless access to capital.
Yeah, I
To
heard
be
that
able to
example
fight off
throughout the country.
particularly the,
Yeah.
the first-time home buyers that want to come into Brighton. So I thought it was a great proposal. It would have prevented those private equity type buyers from making an offer on a house until it had been on the market, I think, for 90 days.
So it stayed as a proposal?
That hasn't happened yet.
Oh.
But she suggested it as a part of her platform of addressing some of these inequities in.
I don't know how much we're necessarily, I'm not seeing a lot of those anecdotally. I mean, I'm not analyzing them all, right? But just kind of just going through and seeing the checks come in paying for properties. Again, we see a lot more of small investors. But I mean, I've noticed more people coming in and handing over, the payment coupons for 5, 6, 7 houses. Sometimes they live in town, sometimes they don't. But it's definitely grown since I've been receiver, for sure.
Yeah, I know there's a couple
So-
homes in our neighborhood that were
Yeah.
bought by big business, so,
Yeah. So
yeah.
Well, I hope that helps answer
It
your
helps
question.
me. Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board during the open forum? Then, Chris, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Bill, I move to approve the agenda.
Second?
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Next, we have public hearings, and we have one public hearing tonight. Tonight is the second public hearing on the town and special district budgets and the special district charges and assessment rolls. Dan, has the necessary legal notice been given for this public hearing?
Dawned on me you were going to ask that just before you started talking. I don't have it pulled up yet. I believe they ran on the 1st of October in the Daily Record.
Thank you. I think you're right. I think that's what you said last time. In that case, I declare this public hearing to be open. I do want to discuss briefly the budget development process as we go about it here in the town of Brighton. Honestly, state law requires relatively little disclosure from towns during their budget development and approval process. The town of Brighton has for many years gone far above and beyond what state law requires in many respects. State law only requires a town to hold one public hearing on its budget. That's it. And it also allows towns to delay that process until later in the year, and I'll get in a moment to why that's significant too. In Brighton, we have always, for many, many years, prioritized a more robust, open budget development process. We engage volunteers in the community with financial background to serve on a budget review task force. We hold workshops, town board workshops every year, generally 2 a year, where the head of every department in town hall comes in and publicly presents their departmental budget to the town board. We're not required to have a capital improvement plan by the state, but we have for many years adopted a 3-year capital improvement plan which serves as a roadmap for more significant infrastructure, parks type, sewer, those big capital expenditures. We do that, again, in an open matter. It's presented publicly to the town board. Our finance committee reviews it. Our budget review task force reviews it. And then the town board itself takes action on that capital improvement plan. As I mentioned, we conduct 2 public hearings every year instead of the one that the board requires. And our finance committee, which is chaired by Councilmember Salzman, reviews that budget before it comes to this series of public hearings. But maybe most importantly, and I mentioned earlier that towns can do this later in the season, state law allows budgets to be, town budgets to be introduced and approved after Election Day. We have long felt it was important to adopt, to hold these public hearings before Election Day. We're doing that again this year. We held the first one 2 weeks ago. We're holding the second one tonight with the expectation that we will approve the budget with or without amendments this evening. I think that's important in terms of transparency to the public. We do have a communication tonight from Eliza Dooley on Pelham Road, which I want to include in the record of this public hearing. She asked some good questions about the budget, and I want to address some of the issues that she raised. She asked about the size of the police department budget and whether we should spend more on things like roads and sidewalks, parks, bike lanes. She mentioned renovating Monroe Avenue. She also asked about the supervisor's budget. Public safety, in my mind, is one of the most important functions of local government. Not every town has its own police department. We do. That doesn't come cheaply, but we think it is an important investment to make. The Town of Brighton Police Department consists of 40 sworn police officers, including Captain Karch, who's with us this evening, plus a civilian support staff. And sometimes people will ask me, 40 police officers, isn't that a lot? We, of course, police is a 24/7 job. Typically, we have not more than 3 police cars out on the road at any given time. Brighton is a very large town. It's long and sort of funny shaped. It goes from Ellison Park in the northeast out to the Genesee River on the west. And those 40 officers staggered throughout a 24/7 days every week patrol that large area. I think they do so as well as any police department in New York State. I'm very proud of the work the department does. Most recently, I heard and read many positive remarks from people attending the No Kings rally this past weekend, which Captain Karch again took the lead on the police presence there. The people that I heard from felt safe, and of course their presence was there to keep everyone participating safe. And they also felt as though the police had done a good job of doing that without being heavy-handed in any way. So thank you, Captain Karch, and certainly share that your colleagues in the department may have already seen and heard some of that. But
thank you, sir.
But we also deal with the cost of finding and training highly qualified people to serve in the police department, and for that matter, throughout town government. Local government is a service business. Wages and salaries are about 50% of our budget, almost exactly 50% of our budget. Benefits are almost exactly 25% of our budget. And it's in the benefits area where we've seen tremendous increases. Last year, retiree health benefits. Many of our retirees are entitled to health insurance, and the premiums for retiree health insurance doubled last year. This year, they're up, I say only, 9%. But our employee health insurance premiums are up 13.9% this year. So we're looking at those mandated items. All of our full-time employees are members of the state retirement system. There are different contribution rates for law enforcement officers and for other employees. The law enforcement officer rates this year, we will be contributing over 35% of each police officer's salary into their retirement system. That's obviously a significant increment to the cost of maintaining that police department. I think it's important to have a quality law enforcement agency serving us, and I think the investment is a good one. But it hasn't come at the expense of some of the other items. Parks, for example. We have continued to grow our park system. We now have over 500 acres of parks in town. We've continued to expand and maintain the trail system. Right now, we have begun the process of developing a multiversity trail system based on the existing Erie Canalway and Lehigh Valley trails in the western part of Brighton, making better connections among the U of R, MCC, and RIT, which has presence both in Henrietta and in Brighton. We have taken advantage of a county grant, and we will be building 1.6 miles of new sidewalks in Brighton over the next few years. 50% of the cost of those are being covered by Monroe County. They're sidewalks along county roads. And through that grant, $10 million grant program, we will be able to build sidewalks, making connections to schools, to trails, to existing sidewalks, to improve walkability and safety along our main roads. So I could go on, but I think it is important, and we will tonight. The budget process is, that it always is every year, a lengthy process. I think it's a thorough process, and we will continue to do that year after year. The other thing I just want to briefly mention is that we balance cost, and we balance making sure that we can provide high-quality services with maintaining the fiscal stability of the town. This past year, the New York State Comptroller, who rates the fiscal strength of every town, city, village, and county in the state of New York, for the 4th straight year has given the town of Brighton a perfect score, meaning that we have very low fiscal stress. We have a AA2 bond rating from Moody's credit reporting agency, one of the highest possible bond ratings. And our financial statements are audited each year by an independent auditor. So again, the point being that we are looking to balance high-quality service, affordability, and maintaining the fiscal strength, the fiscal stability of the town. So with that, I will ask if there is anyone that would like to address the board during the public hearing on the budget. Hearing none, I declare the public hearing to be closed. Nate, can you make a motion, please?
Bill, I move that we approve the, let's see.
Will we have comments from?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, we will. But once,
after the motion.
Yeah.
is- Yep.
I move that we remove the public hearing from the agenda and
Approve the
Approve the-
2026.
thank you. There we go. I was looking. That's how you could tell I haven't slept much. I was in the rocking chair all night last night. So, the move that we approve the 2026 town special district budget
And the charges in it.
and the charges and assessment rules and approval thereof. I move that we approve this motion as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you. Discussion.
Yeah, I did want to make some comments because, you know, we did bring up healthcare costs in particular. The town of Brighton currently incurs total healthcare expenditures in the amount of $4,909,925. So, given that healthcare costs are one of the most unpredictable and rapidly expanding budgetary expenses that the town incurs, I want to take a moment to plug statewide policy for which I and many others have been advocating that I think would do us all well as financial stewards of the community to encourage our state legislators to pass. The New York Health Act is a legislative proposal for a single-payer healthcare system in the state. It has not been enacted into law, and therefore it has no current direct impact on municipal budgets. However, analyses of the proposed act's potential effects on municipal budgets by the Rand Corporation in 2018 suggests significant savings, primarily through the elimination of local government healthcare costs and the state's assumption of local Medicaid expenses. Potential impacts, if enacted, would include the elimination of healthcare benefit costs for public employees. The primary impact would be the transfer of responsibility for public employees' health coverage from municipalities to a state-run system. And so municipalities would no longer need to budget for employee health insurance premiums, deductibles, or co-pays. Instead, they would contribute through a statewide payroll tax. And also would relieve Medicaid costs. The New York Health Act would end the current system requiring local districts to contribute to a portion of Medicaid costs. The responsibility would be replaced by a statewide funding mechanism. For example, payroll and income-based assessments that would provide substantial fiscal relief to counties and New York City, which currently save billions annually from the state's existing cap on Medicaid growth. There would be potential for tax reduction or reinvestment. Proponents of the act argue that these significant savings in healthcare and Medicaid expenditures could be used by local governments to lower property taxes or be reinvested into community services and infrastructure. It would also simplify union negotiations. Instead of negotiating for health benefits, which is a major cost driver, as we've heard, for local governments, unions could then focus on negotiating for other benefits like wages and paid time off. Existing union benefits would be maintained under the plan, so you wouldn't lose anything necessarily, but definitely the costs, the opportunity costs would change. And then an overall an overall study of the system savings suggests that a single-payer system would save money overall by reducing administrative waste and increasing negotiation power for drug prices, which could indirectly stabilize the financial landscape for healthcare providers and the municipalities that they serve. And in the current environment, local governments continue to manage existing healthcare costs and navigate federal and state budget changes related to programs like Medicaid. We heard in this administration's big bloated bill, whatever you want to call it, you know, we're facing some fiscal challenges as a result of that bill. And so the potential impacts of the New York Health Act remain a point of legislative debate and fiscal analysis, but I, for one, will be redoubling efforts to get a single-payer plan passed at the state level.
Thank you, Robin. There's, you know, from my perspective, there is certainly some things to like in the concept of a single-payer plan. One of my concerns is that what I haven't seen, although I've seen some sort of statewide analysis, it's a little harder to know exactly how the impact of adding onto us the impact of a very high-cost New York City and New York City surrounding area healthcare system would be on that overall statewide single-payer system. And I do think that's worthy of study and worthy of continued analysis as to whether that system would work, and certainly anything that would make it more challenging for Washington, D.C. to mandate how healthcare is handled here is certainly something worth looking at. What I will say is that what the town of Brighton has done to keep costs under control, we are a part of and a longtime member of the Finger Lakes Municipal Health Insurance Trust, which is a consortium of municipalities and other governmental agencies, mostly in Monroe and Ontario counties. By buying in bulk, I know that's a favorite phrase of Councilmember Warner, but this is a perfect example of it. By combining several dozen municipalities from this area, an area generally with similar healthcare systems, we have been able to dramatically outperform community rates. 13.9% is a painfully high number, but it's still better than what the community rates are going to be in 2026 for healthcare premiums, and that has been the case over time. So I appreciate your words, and I know it'll be, continue to be studied and discussed. Any other comments on the budget?
Bill, as much as we hate to see any increase in taxes, it's always unfortunate, but the reality is that our costs have gone up dramatically. And as you indicate, just the healthcare premiums alone are 13.9%, and compare that to what the increase would be in our own budget. But one other item that, that we have discussed so many times is buying in bulk and the savings that government can provide by providing necessary services as a group, as opposed to people having to contract for those services, whether it's for security guards or for refuse removal. And we've seen a significant increase in our residents' interest in group purchasing of their refuse services, something as basic as that, but that's what local government is all about, is basic services to our community and our residents. Now, in this instance, in the upcoming year, we have an increase of some, I believe, upwards of 600 new households that are being added as a refuse district, which is now being absorbed into the Brighton budget technically. But we are providing a service to those new households that goes against our tax cap analysis and our number. That alone is about $174,000 increase in our budget.
But
we're saving 50% of those people's costs on their refuse removal.
It's nearly an identical savings for folks who join that refuse district, because the refuse district fee is barely more than half the price of what Waste Management would charge a new customer.
Just slightly more. And but given the fact that our taxes have gone up, they've gone up only a modest amount, given the general increase we're seeing and the addition of those services as well. And I know how hard our finance department and Earl's people have worked to develop this budget, and each of the department heads at all. And we've seen the presentations, one by one, of those department heads, of the efforts they're making to keep costs down. I'm not pleased to see my taxes going up, but prices are going up across the board here in this country, and there's no alternative. I think this budget is very well done.
Thank you. Yes, would you, the public hearing has ended, but we would certainly allow you to come up and speak.
How is it that these 600 families or households don't have to pay for refuge?
They do. What happens when you join the refuse district is, because it's the town provides the service by competitively bidding. We
Oh,
put
which
out-
companies
We
come-
put out a bid to all of the refuse companies that operate in the area.
Yeah.
Waste Management currently has that contract. And over time, households that are not in the district can join. So instead of writing a check to Waste Management every month, it comes on your tax bill. But the cost through the town, through the refuse district, in 2026 will be about $290 per year per household. Whereas if you just called up Waste Management, they would quote you a price of over $500
I believe it's 540.
So,
year.
as a resident, when I moved into Brighton, are you paying part of my refuge
Nope.
collection?
Nope.
No, I pay it.
You're paying for it, but it depends. You're either paying it directly if you are a private customer. If you don't live in a refuse district, you pay Waste Management or Casella or somebody
Yes.
else directly.
And where do
But if-
these people live that they don't have to pay?
No, they do pay. They pay on their tax bill. It's a district charge.
So how does it come out of the Brighton budget?
That's all included in what we are approving tonight, is a budget that includes paying $290 a year for that special district, as well as a sidewalk special district for people in neighborhoods with sidewalks. The ambulance
And then you get reimbursed, though, no?
No. That's government. That is part of how we provide those essential services. People who want to, for example, there is a sidewalk snow removal district.
Yeah.
You can, if you have a sidewalk, if you're in the sidewalk snow removal district, and most of our neighborhoods with sidewalks are, our sidewalk plow truck comes down your street, plows you. You only pay once on your tax bill. You don't have to find a teenager that wants to do it or get up at 5 in the morning and, shovel it yourself. The town's plow truck will do it. They'll do it cheaper, and they'll do it without any of us breaking our backs, shoveling our own. So that's this concept of buying in bulk. The town provides services only to those people who want/need it. If you buy into a house that has sidewalks, you do pay for the sidewalk district.
So how come everybody's not paying for their own refuge? Why is it that it's coming out of the town? I still don't know.
Because
Am I dunce or what?
So, no, so it's, again, people, at some point, people neighbors passed a petition and said, we want to create a refuse district. And so so if you're in a refuse district, so right now you said you're paying Casella a bill quarterly or whatever it
Okay,
is.
yeah, waste
So instead of paying them, writing a check to them, you're writing a check to the town and paying for those services, and then we pay Waste Management. So it's not that, the residents are still paying, the town isn't paying for them. It's just a matter of who writes the
I see.
check to the
Okay.
trash hauler.
Thank you for a
So it
much better
really is
explanation. Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of liquid.
And we welcome people who are interested in that kind of savings for their street or for their larger neighborhood to talk with the town, specifically Chad Roscoe here at Town Hall in our DPW. Chad loves it when I give out his phone number. But Chad can be reached at 784-5224. Notice I don't have to look it up.
I was going to say, even I know it now.
But Chad has been the one who coordinates, as somebody mentioned, over about 600 new households will be taking advantage of those savings because their neighborhoods signed those petitions to get into the district. So if it's something you're interested in, you think your neighbors would be interested in.
I know
by
we
all means.
tried, and I don't know why it failed, but it did.
Okay.
And now we have garbage cans every day of the week.
Yeah, well, that's the other advantage. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And a truck that goes down every day of the week.
Yeah.
fewer trucks, fewer days that they.
So you go
the
for a
cans
walk
are-
and there's always garbage. It's bad. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Anything else on the motion that's on the floor? Hearing none, on the motion to approve the 2026 Town and Special District budget charges and assessment rules, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Thank you, everybody, for all the work you put into this really 6-month, at least, process, and I vote aye. We also, moving to communications, these are the kind of communications we really like to get. We have a letter from Mike Keneally. Mike is the Executive Director of Comp Alliance. I mentioned earlier the Finger Lakes Municipal Health Insurance Trust. That's how we work together to keep our health insurance rates lower. The Comp Alliance is a statewide consortium of cities, towns, and villages who work with this organization to make workers' compensation insurance available at premiums that are more attractive than if we went out into the market ourselves. And Comp Alliance recognizes the fact that Brighton has been a safe workplace and has sent, in recognition of that, a partial rebate of our premiums in the amount of $9,086. And we appreciate being a part of Comp Alliance. The statewide municipal associations, the New York State Association of Towns, the Association of Counties, and the Conference of Mayors are all a part of that organization. Yes, thank you. Thank you for sticking with us tonight. So, can I have a motion to receive and file that letter?
Bill, I move that we receive and file the letter from the Comp Alliance
Second?
and adopt the resolution.
Any further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. Committee reports, community services.
I usually give the Community Services Committee report. However, I was not at the meeting last week, so I will defer to my colleague, Councilmember
Yep,
Corrado.
happy to do that.
And I will supplement if needed, just with things that our department heads have said.
Bear with me a moment as I pull up the minutes. There we go. The little wheel is spinning. Almost there.
October 15th.
Robin, do you want to give the department head report quickly while this comes up?
Sure. I would have omitted stuff so that was repeated, so forgive me if I take away anything that's in the regular
I'll do the
minutes.
admitting then.
So from our parks departments, park crews are busy preparing the parks for the end of the season. All athletic fields and seasonal bathroom facilities will be closed on November 1st. And signage is posted to remind the public of that closing date. Parks crews are also busy with the Corbett's Glen Trail Rehabilitation Project. The department's seasonal contracted mowing will end by the end of the week, October 27th, thereby reverting to the town's reliance on full-time park staffs for mowing. Park staff will be starting its athletic field year-end maintenance, which includes rolling, aerating, top dressing, and overseeding to help our fields bounce back from the heavy use next spring. And then from our recreation department, Brighton Fall Program registration is now open. for all fall programs. So check out our new lineup of programs and events online. The Recreation Department is just finishing up all final details for a great fall season. So check back often as programs are always added, and you don't want to miss anything great. So full details for our Brighton fall program recreation offerings is available online at www.townofbrighton.org/rec, REC. Want to remind everyone that the Brighton Farmers Market is still operating at the Brighton High School parking lot during our outdoor season on Sundays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So please do join us and explore all the wonders of the season. And a reminder to the public that SNAP and EBT benefits are welcome at the Brighton Farmers Market. The season will end on Sunday, November 23rd, and we'll move indoors.
Sunday, the 23rd is the first indoor.
I'm sorry. Yes. We'll move indoors on Sunday, the 23rd. Sorry. And then we will have sensory-friendly trick-or-treating on Friday, October 31st at 4 p.m. at the Brighton Memorial Library Children's Section. This program is specifically for our friends and families who would benefit from low-key, relaxed trick-or-treating event. No music or crowds, just some fun. So come as you are or come in costume, all are welcome. The Brighton Memorial Library's Children's Section will welcome your little ghosts and goblins to go station to station and collect treats and goodies. It also includes a fun Halloween craft. Registration for this event is required. Space is extremely limited to ensure a positive experience for all. And full details are again online at the Brighton Recreation Department, townofbrighton.org/rec. Ready?
Ready, thank you.
Transfer to my colleague then.
Good tag team here. So the committee did meet last week, Wednesday, October 15th. Additional discussion regarding field use under the parks heading, field use by the Brighton Central School District to accommodate district teams during upcoming construction. And the Parks Department is considering using the Blossom Road field for football. It is a challenge with parking. The district would have to arrange busing students over, and the Parks Department will work that out with BCSD. There was also some discussion of the Lynchwood parcel and discussion of potential for developing it to a usable, maintained park with small parking area. So there is, there's always potential for expanding our fabulous park system. Under recreation, things that were not touched on already, the Recreation Department is still recruiting to hire for full and part-time staff in the department. The department is partnering, is in conversations to partner more actively with the Golisano Institute across the street to create partnerships for events and potential programs. The other highlights, the Town Talk series wrapped up last week. So we had 3 very good panel discussions on topics of great importance those topics were developed by the IDEA Committee. And survey results from those discussions will be available, I believe, at the next Community Services Committee meeting. And there is potential for possible film discussions surrounding Native Americans in film in honor of Native American Heritage Month that may be coming to fruition in the coming weeks. We'll hear more, I'm sure. Conservation Board is working through a proposal to formalize the Tree Ambassador Program, which is already essentially underway with maintenance of the tree nursery. That's going quite well. Reminder, Robin, did you already make the reminder about the recycling event? No. So recycling electronics and paper shredding is coming up on Saturday, October 25th from 9 until noon at the Highway Department parking lot. And
1941 Elmwood.
1941 Elmwood, and when folks come in, you will be greeted by, I believe, a very tall directional signal.
Is Farmer Bill coming?
Farmer Bill, I think, was worn out from the trunk or treat.
Retired.
Because there was quite a line at that.
Yes, it was.
That was great. But we do remind folks that this is for residential paper shredding, personal papers, not commercial. Yeah, so pull in and unload your recycling. And also on Saturday is the DEA prescription drug take-back event that will be at here at Empire State University. That will take place 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., also a drive-through. And the committee meets next on Wednesday, November 19th at 10 a.m. or immediately following the Finance and Administrative Services Committee if it runs a bit long. And
Thank you both.
The public is always welcome.
And speaking of finance and administrative services,
We never run long. The Always On Time Finance and Administrative Services Committee last met on the 15th. And my colleagues ably stole my thunder talking about medical coverage. But I will say the good news is dental did not go up and vision did not go up. But of course, as my colleagues talked about, as consistent with rising medical costs around the country, there were significant costs. Unfortunately, as we're learning with inflation, not every industry is hit the same. It's never been cheaper as a percentage of your income to buy one of these or a TV. And it's never been more expensive as a percentage of your income to get the things we really need, like medical care or housing, as was discussed earlier tonight. We also discussed the supervisor's third quarter report, which I see on the agenda, and I will leave that to, I believe, Earl to discuss later. Our committee next meets on the 29th, right here at 8:30.
thanks, Nate.
Is that not right?
The 19th?
No, 29.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sorry. Yes.
No, it'll be November 5th.
Week from today.
November 5th.
November 5th.
November.
No.
November,
The FASC, the Finance
FASC.
Committee.
Finance Committee.
Yeah, November
First-
5th.
The
Meeting will be
first.
November 5th because this is the.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yes, you're right.
Yes.
Wednesday
Yes,
month.
the 5th.
That is correct.
Thank you, everybody. We will next meet on November 5th. I am changing my calendar as we speak. Thank you, everybody.
Public Safety, Chris.
Thanks, Bill. We met last week, October 14th, received the reports from the different services. Brighton Ambulance reported 724 calls for service in September and noted that Brighton call volume is up 8.15% for 2025 with 6,624 calls year-to-date. They also responded to 91 mutual aid requests during the month as well. The Brighton Police Department indicated that they've had calls for service 32,422 through the end of September. They participated at the beginning of September with the Clear the Tracks campaign regarding the working with the railroad and protecting people from going out on those tracks and being injured. They participated in the homecoming parade. It's always great to see the police out there in large numbers, closing off the streets and directing the parade, and participating in the march as well. As I recall, the chief was in the last vehicle who brought up the end. They also operated the rabies clinic, which is open to anyone in the community, with 150 pets being vaccinated, which is pretty remarkable, I think. Henrietta Fire District reported calls, 702 calls in September, with 5,708 calls year-to-date, of which West Brighton had 105 in September and 768 year-to-date in West Brighton. None of the services noted any particular incidents out of the ordinary. And our next meeting will be November 11 at 8 o'clock a.m.
Thank you, Chris. Christine, Public Works.
Yes, Public Works met twice since the last town board meeting. More on that in a moment. So on October 14th, we had residents join us for the open forum, residents from Forest Hills neighborhood. They were specifically seeking some safety measures related to on-street parking on Forest Hills for folks who are visiting Corbett's Glen, and seeking crosswalks on Penfield, connecting Forest Hills to Penfield Road. Let me try that again, Forest Hills to Corbett's Glen. They were delighted to learn that crossing is in the works, should be showing up this season or next. We'll see. But it is approved with the county and will soon appear there. The no parking request, it will work its way through the committees, and we should see that next month, see where that is staked out. Very briefly, we had an update on waste management and bulk pickup solutions. Since the bulk pickup scheduling has not been consistent in waste management meeting the scheduled date, the town is working with waste management to come up with a better, more reliable way to handle bulk pickups. Crosswalks. Folks have noticed that crosswalks are in place on Highland Avenue, connecting especially the little kids who live north of Highland Avenue who are walking to school at Council Rock. And the crosswalk on Edgewood Avenue at Winter Greenway has been striped, and the RRFBs for that, and the Highland Avenue ones as well, are on order to be installed soon. Other highlights. Chelmsford Lane culvert replacement. The design is 95% complete, and the project is, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Glenn, for the short answer on that, because I know residents are.
We're working, so once we get the state funding, that'll allow us to put it out to bid, and once we get the bids back, we can award it, and then hopefully start construction next year. But it's all dependent on receiving the state funding for that work.
Excellent, thank you. I know it's long awaited. When it's done, though, it'll be done right. Homeacres residents will be happy to know that the design and bid package for the monument walls went out today, yes?
We just
No,
received.
we received.
Or came in today.
We received the preliminary design presentation from Barrow Architects. So the next step is for them to continue working the bid package to submit to us. We've got our next meeting with them, I believe it's Monday, November 23rd, if I'm getting the date correct. And then they'll present us with the final design and bid paperwork, so we can, once that's done and approved and we get the funding established, set aside for that, then we can put it out to bid in hopes for spring construction once the snow melts.
I do want to make sure there is dialogue with the neighborhood association.
Barrow is open to do community engagement once the design is in place, because some of the construction is going to impact some of the landscaping around the neighbors, because some of the neighbors have taken the time to put trees and shrubs and some plantings with flowers that would be impacted. So we want to make sure we communicate the timeline of the construction, what impacts within that easement area will take place, where some staging may for some of the materials may take place. Also talk about what they're doing to restore those walls and the lights.
The flower gardens that are on the exterior, the street-facing side of the monuments, which are primarily annuals, are done by the neighborhood association itself. So, and I know that may get disrupted by the construction, but
And there
Those are
are,
the kind of things that I want to make sure the neighbors and the neighborhood association.
and the team from Barrow, one of them actually grew up in one of the local areas and is very familiar with with the walls, the entryways to the various neighborhoods, and so they have a personal side to making sure that it's done right.
Good.
Thank you for keeping the neighborhood informed. They're very proud of those beautiful entrances and have invested a lot of thought into preserving them. The town hall renovation updates can be seen online, monthly updates. Are there any highlights you want to share before you have that sip of Coke?
Yep. Just some of the things to point out. So as you're driving by the town hall now, they've finished pouring the ADA accessible ramps, and they just finished pouring the stairs. So the forms are off the stairs, and today they were working on putting the stonework, the stone exterior to the ramps up. So over the coming days, you're going to see more and more progress on those stairways. So it's going to start looking like the new front entrance to the town hall. So that material arrived, I believe, last week, and they're starting to make it where it's looking like it will be when it's final. And then also the geothermal wells, they're looking to have the geothermal heating operable for the wintertime. So as the windows get put back in place with the new windows and the building gets sealed up, they'll be able to use the geothermal heating to heat the town hall for the winter. So the workers can continue doing their work in warmth.
Better not to have frozen fingers when wielding dangerous tools, right? Yeah, excellent. And then in the interest of time, on the 14th, the committee determined that it would be best to hold a special meeting to focus exclusively on the Monroe Avenue, New York State DOT corridor improvements, the feedback that the town is going to deliver to the state. So the committee met on October 21st, so just 2 days ago, and walked through yesterday. Oh my gosh, wow. Yesterday, a lot happened in the past 24 hours. So we met yesterday. We walked through virtually through the entire corridor and summarized feedback on the pedestrian and bicycle amenities that we hope to see included in the project. The state has already gotten off to a very good start with traffic calming, providing a lane reduction, so we'll go from 4 lanes, 2 in each direction, to 3 lanes, 1 in each direction, a center turn lane, and that will make room for wide shoulders that may or may not be official bike lanes. We'll work our way through that with the state. But
I mean, not, the can of worms,
Can of worms. Whoa,
12
dating
corners
yourself there.
will still be 4 lanes, and there's some other areas that
Yes. So
remain to be determined.
On balance, most of the corridor will be modified, but there are some tricky spots where we are asking the state to give some extra thought to the Sylvan and Warrington intersection with Monroe Avenue, because that is a tricky spot no matter how you approach it. And we are asking for the Bill Maley honorary left turn, protected left turn signal at Winton and Monroe. This is our chance to get it. So among other things, that feedback will be going to the state DOT shortly, and they've been good partners so far, and we hope that they will continue to be good partners in helping us to transform Monroe Avenue into something that will be that will get us closer to the vision that we all have for our Main Street. It's a quirk of history and state law that we don't get to control how that street is shaped, but we've made progress with the state DOT in getting them to recognize that it's our street as much as it is theirs.
Yeah.
So, and that should be heading to the state shortly. Yes, Glenn says yes.
Working on it very diligently to finalize the document so we can get
So much as we would like to meet every week, the Public Works Committee, the next time we meet will be Tuesday, November 18th at 9 in the morning. And that is all. Did I miss anything, Glenn?
You got it. It's all
Excellent.
there.
I know, I'll just, and I know Bill Hafner couldn't be with us tonight. You may or may not know, and if you don't, that's fine. Do you have a sense for we know that the speed humps are going to be restored on South Landing Road. Do you have a sense as to when that is going to take place?
I did not hear from Bill
Okay.
Prior to the meeting, but we'll follow up and
Yep.
be prepared to brief for the next meeting.
Good.
Excellent.
Hopefully they'll be done by then, because I know we face asphalt plant closures.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. On then to new business. Nate, reading and approval of claims.
Yes, earlier today, I reviewed claims totaling $1,199,127.37. Notable claims include, speaking of inflation, the price for a payment for a 2025 sidewalk repair program, payment for $89,243.95. And although, as I was joking, not really joking about the cost increase for sidewalk repair, it still reflects our priority to build more sidewalk and to repair our existing sidewalk infrastructure. Bill, the claims appear to all be in order, and I move for them to be approved.
Second?
Discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. Christine?
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute a change order to the construction inspection contract with Ravi Engineering for the French Road Bridge Repair Project in the amount of $14,755. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
And I just want to be clear that the resolution does include the 14,000 number.
Looking at it, actually, the resolution specifically is transferring, oh, am I looking at the right one here?
Oh,
Hang on.
there's two
Yes, it is. Yes, that is the 14,755.
In both paragraphs,
And,
14,755.
Well,
yes,
Well, the first one, that for the change order was for 14,755. The next
Correct.
one is transferring that, plus there was.
No, but this resolution,
Is
I
for
want to
the
make sure in both
14,755.
paragraphs that it says 14,755.
no, as included
Right.
in the packet right now, the second,
And if you would
par-
change that second paragraph.
Yes.
Because that's what I was seeing too. And I wanted to make
correct.
sure.
All right,
Both-
so,
The change order is in an amount not to exceed 14,755 in both paragraphs.
yes, with that correction, I move that we adopt the resolution.
Thank you. And we have, Chris, you've seconded and you
That's
you
satisfactory.
agree with that friendly amendment. Further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye, and the next one too, please, because they are related.
Yes, they are. The next matter seeks to authorize the transfer of $15,280 from the general fund to the capital fund for inspection services for the French Road Bridge Repair Project. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
And in that resolution, the numbers are the same and correct.
Yeah, and most, you'll see the difference in the inspection services line. The final budget is that same 14,755 higher. The construction, repair, and inspection expense goes up only about $1,000, and the engineering fees go down about $500. And just for some context, you see the overall project cost at $956,000. The town received grant funds under this New York State Bridge New York program in the amount of $757,680. So the net cost to the town, in other words, the matching portion of that grant, is just a little bit under $200,000. but the vast bulk of the project was paid for through that State Bridge New York grant. As you mentioned earlier, the Chelmsford Lane project, that will also be funded through the Bridge New York program. We have a motion. It's been made and seconded to make that transfer. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. We got more public worksy kind of highway
Sure.
kind of stuff, so why don't you
We
do
can keep
this
going.
next one?
This one's kind of exciting for the history nerds in town because we're preserving a very important iconic element in Brighton. So the next matter seeks to authorize the purchase of 3 harp-style luminaries from Magnaflood to repair damaged luminaries along Elmwood Avenue near I-590 in an amount not to exceed $7,155. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye.
Those will be great that they would get those because we've got claims out on those, and those poles have been down for too long. So it's
Yes.
good that we were finally able to
Yes,
source
it
these
is.
because
Yes, it
now these neighbors can get those back up.
Yeah, they'll be happy. Why don't I have Nate, if you would do these next 2 town hall-related items?
Yeah, you got it. The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute change orders for the town hall renovation with Landry Mechanical in an amount not to exceed $19,536.34. I move that we approve this matter as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
You'll see in the letter, this reflects 3 separate change orders reflecting a leaking roof drain assembly. These are the kind of things that you find in reconstructing an old building. Drain lines at the end of the building, which will allow proper overhead clearance at that new entryway that's been built in the back, and also insulating piping in the building that had to have asbestos removed from it. New insulation will be installed, totaling again that 19,500 plus number. We have a motion. Nate made it. Robin, you seconded it, I believe. Further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye.
Bill, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute change orders for the town hall renovation with Milestone Construction Partners in an amount not to exceed $10,120. I move that this matter be approved as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
2 change orders here, one reflecting installing 2 windows in the basement in the IT area, and also painting in that new addition in the back of the building. Discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye, and I think what I'll do on these, because we have several benefit-related items, I'm going to start with you, Nate, and we'll
Yeah,
just
you got
go
it.
down the row.
Bill, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute a renewal agreement with Super Bowl MVP Jalen Hurts, healthcare for employment health insurance plans. I said that one for our friend Dan over there for 2026, and set HSA contributions for 2026. I move that we approve this matter as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
I should clarify that even Cowboys fans should be getting this coverage, right?
Looking
Right,
here
Bill?
very closely, I do not see Jalen Hurts in this resolution. I do see a reference to MVP healthcare. So you
There
may
you
have
go.
simply
Oh,
read
that's what I did. Yes.
of paragraph. I believe
That's what I did.
Goff is spelled G-O. And Allen is spelled A-L-L-E-N.
You're seeing into the future.
We have a motion, and this is our primary MVP. We've talked about it several times tonight. Our primary medical care for our employees and under 65 retirees through MVP Healthcare as part of that consortium, the FLMHIT, Finger Lakes Municipal Health Insurance Trust, that we are a part of. Motion by Nate, seconded by Robin.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Malley?
Aye. Robin?
The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into a renewal agreement with Excelis Blue Cross Blue Shield for the provision of employee dental benefits for 2026. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Any discussion on that? These dental benefits are employee paid. Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Malley?
Aye. Chris?
Next item, Bill, is to authorize the supervisor to execute a renewal agreement with Lifetime Benefit Solutions, INC, for the administration of employee flexible spending accounts for 2026. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
This is a program that fewer and fewer employees, because this is only flexible spending accounts, are not available for people with high deductible plans. They get similar and probably better benefits through the HSA, Health Savings Account, which is integrated with the high deductible plans. But we continue for those employees that do. There's a fixed cost. This is a relatively low price. We pay a fixed fee of $325 plus $3.15 per employee. Both of those amounts are unchanged in 26. Motion by Chris, seconded by Christine. Further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Malley?
Aye. Christine?
So the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute a renewal agreement with iMed for the provision of employee vision and eyewear benefits for 2026. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
This plan is also employee paid, voluntary, and unchanged from last year. We have a motion. It's been seconded. Further discussion?
Only that someday, I hope before I'm old and decrepit, someday all insurance for all parts of our bodies could be covered by a single plan, maybe a New York State universal, because this divvying up of the parts.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Malley?
Aye. Chris?
Next item is to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Excelis for the medical insurance plan for 2026. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second?
This is the agreement with Excelis for the Medicare for post-65 retirees and post-65 retiree spouses. This is the plan. Last year, the premium went up just over 100%. But remember, we switched to Excelis because we said only 105%. The Aetna plan that we had been in previously was up 170%. This year, it's only up 9%. Still not great, but better. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Malley?
Aye. And finally, Robin, the Teamsters plans.
Certainly. The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute a renewal agreement for the Teamsters health plans for 2026. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
The Teamsters are the only group of town employees that have insurance coverage other than through, directly through the town and the Finger Lakes Municipal Health Insurance Trust. The Teamsters has their own health insurance plan, and as you will see, not only have they advised us what their rates are for 26, they've also given an indication of what they will be for 27. I'm not sure whether that's a binding number at this point. All we are taking action on is the 26 increase, and that increase is about 3.7%. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Christine?
Yes, the next matter seeks to appoint Brody Larson to the Architectural Review Board for a term commencing immediately, a 3-year term effective immediately through December 31st, 2028. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
I interviewed Brody along with Stuart McKenzie, the chair of the ARB. We were very impressed with his design background, which includes not only particularly sign-related, but also digital. He worked for a little company you may have heard of called Meta. I joked with him, if those things that used to drive me crazy on the Meta plan, you know, when they would set up these new parameters every time you updated, he said, yeah, that was all my fault. So, but I think he'll be a great addition. He's also very well-versed in building architecture. I really think he'll be a great addition to the group, and I appreciate his willingness to step forward.
Supervisor, was that the opening that was posted through beginning of November, or is that an additional position?
No, that's
this?
that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a slide up, so I'll take it down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good. I'm sorry. Who seconded that one?
Chris.
Robin, did you? Chris? Okay. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Sorry, I gotta. And the last item of new business is change to the full-time wage and salary schedule. Nate, would you like to?
You got it. The next matter seeks to adopt a change to the full-time wage schedule for Secretary to the Commissioner of Public Works. I move that we approve this motion as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This would move that position from Group 2 to Group 3, better reflective of the scope and responsibility that is inherent in the position. Further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. And Earl, are we ready to?
Steve showed us twice, and it's coming to a different screen. It's not going to the one that was the which computer, it's going to just the projector.
Well, take a minute, and then if you can't, we'll just have Earl make the presentation without graphics.
We do have the presentation. It's in everybody's
Yep.
packet, so.
But it's nice to be able to get it out to be, and I'm assuming it's not going to go out unless you can get it up on the screen. There we go.
There we go.
Yay, nice work.
There's 3 buttons, I hadn't pushed it.
All right, Earl, third quarter supervisor's report.
Okay, this is our last quarterly report before we see audited financial statements, which of course will wait until this spring. The first couple slides I won't take time on. We've seen them before. It's just a review of the budget that was passed last year at this time, which is our spending plan for the current year. And then we have a historical Fed rates chart just because we've made the point the last couple meetings about how interest rates have affected performance over the last several years. And now I think everybody knows interest rates are coming down, so we're watching that carefully.
Does that reflect the most recent drop that just took place? Not sure it does.
I'm not sure it does either. We're between 4.25 and 4.5, I think. But this next slide is new, and this just gives you an idea of the difference that interest rates have made with our financial statements. So while we were battling inflation, we were also taking advantage of higher interest rates. And the really high line there is for the general fund. So we've been able to earn more interest income for all of our funds, which has helped with budgeting and also provided surpluses the last couple of years, helped provide some surpluses. So as this number comes down, we expect to be closer to break even over the next couple of years, and maybe even use some of our fund balance, which we've been planning to do looking forward.
I think it's important to note that the biggest piece of that big bump there, obviously, yes, some increases in interest rates, but also the amount of ARPA funds that we have had.
Yes, one of the
under our
advantages we've had is we've had ARPA funds, which are now being spent on the town hall project, so the overall amount being invested will decrease over time.
That'll bring
as
that
well.
number down dramatically.
So this slide here is our comparison to budget. Because we receive most of our revenues early in the year, it's more helpful to look at the percentage of revenue to budget and also compare to last year, because we know last year was a successful year budgetarily. So as we would expect, the numbers are coming down slightly. Sales tax as a percentage of budget is down a little bit, and our use of money, even though it's higher than budgeted, is a little bit less than last year. So overall, we are at 88.8% of our budgeted revenue, and last year at this time we were at 90.5% of our budgeted revenue. And of course, last year we exceeded our budgeted revenue by a good amount. We expect to also exceed total revenue this year as well, to the point where we will not be needing to use budgeted fund balance, but we'll be closer to break even this year in all of our funds. On the expenditure side, we see a little bit of the same story. Over time, I'd like to just mention again, we had a couple mild winters, and then last year was more of a normal winter, I would say. So our overtime was high compared to 2024. That was entirely a function of winter weather last year. So overall, our total expenses so far are 67.5% through 3/4 of the year, and that compares to last year at 65.4%. Traditionally, we have underspent our budget. We expect that to happen again this year, and as we part of our budget process is maintaining tight controls during the years to come in under budget in many of our departments. A lot of our summary items are the same as we've been talking about. Not much has significantly changed in the past quarter. We still see inflation impacting us, especially in the benefit area, and that's going to continue into '26 as we've talked about. We have higher costs for some of our large capital projects that are ongoing, and many goods and services. Everybody, I think, is aware that inflation is still very real, even though it has come down over time. And we also see sales tax revenue. We saw a lot of growth over the last couple of years in sales tax revenue, but growth is predicted to be a lot more stable going forward. So we're starting to see that as well.
And mortgage tax revenue also down a little bit. That's a much smaller line than our sales tax, but as we've seen in recent years, because again, going back to the discussion we had earlier, there is so little supply that there aren't a lot of closings, which means there isn't a lot of mortgage tax revenue.
Yeah, we did have a slide in our budget presentation on mortgage taxes and how they are difficult to predict because they will go up and down with changes in the environment. So the third quarter conclusions, I'm just repeating that the revenue collection is a little bit behind where it was last year, but still what we would expect. And on the expenditure side, we're a little bit a higher rate compared to last year as well. And again, there's a comment about interest rates as they fall. Even though we continue to maximize earning interest, and it's still exceeding budgeted income, that amount that is over budget will be decreasing. Even though we budget to use fund balance, we don't expect to need to use it in 2025. We have significant fund balances, which are a little bit above where we want to maintain them, but we expect to be using our fund balances, putting some fund balance money to use during the next couple of years. We have a lot of large grants and projects ongoing, which we're tracking carefully to limit the assistance needed from fund balance.
Thank you, Earl. Questions? Couple of other things in the matters of the supervisor, although a lot of them have been discussed. I really thought that the second half, the Public Works Committee yesterday was really a valuable session. Great to have a very lively and passionate discussion about the future of Monroe Avenue, getting feedback from residents. And again, as you mentioned, a very major goal. We want to make Monroe Avenue safe and attractive for all users, and all users no longer just means cars. We want to make sure bicycles, pedestrians can use the avenue safely. It is our main street. We had some discussion about what that means in a town like Brighton that doesn't have a sort of a village center, but it is still our main street. It's home to so many of the small businesses that serve the neighborhoods. It is a neighborhood commercial thoroughfare. And I know in the town that I grew up in out in Michigan, that's exactly what Main Street was. We had small retailers, one or two chains, but mostly, small, everything from, retailers to the funeral home, just like Monroe Avenue does here. So,
and if I can add, the goal is to create streets where you're comfortable with sending your 8-year-old out there to walk along the street, or your 80-year-old spouse to walk along the street.
Exactly.
If it's safe for those two ends of the spectrum, then
we're doing something
we're
right.
serving everybody.
Yeah. We've already talked about 2 events coming up, Saturday's electronics recycling and the pharmaceutical take-back. Another big event starts tomorrow, the Friends of Brighton Memorial Library Book Sale. That's a great event. If you've never been to the book sale, what are you waiting for? Tomorrow, the hours are 9 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. That's for members, but walk up to the door, become a member of the Friends, and start shopping. It will continue for the public on Friday from 9 to 5:30, Saturday, noon to 3:30. On Sunday, all books are half price, and again, it's noon to 3:30. And on Monday, the deals get even bigger. Buy a bag of books for $5. How can you go wrong? But if you want the best selection, become a member of the Friends. The Friends are a great group. They support financially the library, which takes some of the burden off of us taxpayers. But they also just support the library in so many different ways. So support the Friends. During the construction project, the sale will be the Town Hall construction project. The sale has been moved, and it will be held at 12 Corners Presbyterian Church, 1200 South Winton Road. And we appreciate not only the great support of the Friends, but we also appreciate 12 Corners Presbyterian for hosting the book sale. It's that time of year. I'll sound like a broken record. It's leaf pickup season. Where do you put the leaves? Not in the street. Please. I know someone made the observation, and they're right. A lot of it is the landscapers. Talk to your landscaper. Let them know. Don't put them in the street. We haven't had a lot of rain, but if we do get rain, those leaf piles in the street will cause drainage issues. The leaves will come down and block the storm drains. So it's really important. Keep your leaves, whether you do them or a landscaper, on the tree lawn between the sidewalk and the street, or if you don't have a sidewalk, keep them on the lawn right adjacent to the street there. Our highway crews will pick them up. When? Well, that's where you go to the webpage. The Town of Brighton webpage, they have a lawn and garden debris and leaf pickup page with maps, both for bulk and for containerized pickups. And take a look at when your neighborhood, it only goes out a couple days because we can't predict. It's hard to predict exactly where they'll be a week from now, but for the next couple days, you'll see what neighborhoods they're going to be in. Please don't put them in plastic bags. Obviously, that's not recyclable. Shout out to, right now, Brighton's favorite son, Ernie Clement. Ernie Clement plays for the Toronto Blue Jays. I hope everybody at this table is rooting for the Blue Jays. Tigers fan or Phillies fan or whomever you are. Ernie Clement, a terrific young man, a Brighton High School graduate. I had the pleasure of meeting Ernie. A couple of years ago, he came on open, there he is, on the screen. A couple of years ago, Ernie was a special guest at opening day for Brighton Little League. And watching him engage with those future major leaguers was just terrific. And I had the opportunity to chat with him. People that know him a lot better than I do think the world of him. So, okay, Blue Jays. All right, I just want to make sure.
Second.
And the last reminder, early voting begins on Saturday and continues through, that's October 25th, continues through November 2nd, a week from Sunday. There are early voting locations throughout the county where anybody can vote, but the early voting location in Brighton is at the Winter Farmers Market Barn on Westfall Road. The hours for voting, early voting, are different on different days, so go to the website and check those out. And on Election Day itself, which is Tuesday, November the 4th, the polls are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And again, those are at your polling places throughout town, your regular polling places. If you're not sure where to vote, again, go to the Board of Elections, Monroe County Board of Elections webpage to check it out for that location. That's all I have. Matters of the attorney for the town.
Thank you, Supervisor. Nothing to report. Request an executive session for 2 matters leading to the employment of particular persons.
Sounds good. Thank you. Matters of the clerk.
One thing just to add a point to the early voting. I mean, you said it's at the Farmers Market Building on Westfall. It is no longer at Empire State. So we'll have signs up in the door. I have a note to put signs up on the doors before I go home Friday night because it's been here for a long time. So make sure when you're talking to folks to remind them it's at the Winter Market Building. It's pretty close. It's under our control now, and we're happy to host that very important activity, but no longer at Empire State University.
Thank you.
Just wanted to touch a little bit on in the assessor's office. It is property tax exemption season, and we have all of the renewals for folks has been sent out. So we have those are out in mailboxes, and hopefully everyone has received those by now. But if anybody who has gotten these local exemptions, the senior limited income in particular is the big one this time of year. The limited income disability as well as an annual renewal. If anybody hasn't seen those come through yet and you're expecting them, please call the office, 784-5215, and I'll make sure and get the appropriate application out to you. Any new folks who are now reaching the eligible age of 65 and the income requirements, if you think you might be in that conversation now, we're getting those applications out as well as they come in. I've revamped the exemption page on our website. So right up at the top there's a link where you can request the application be mailed to you right from the website. So those are going out. I feel like that's most of what I've done this week, actually, is monitor the inbox and get those out. Another thing that, let me back up real quick. So, again, those big exemptions, and this is something I've noticed in my office over the years, but now seeing both sides, as I've been, helping to run the assessor's office, is a lot of people just don't know that these exemptions exist. There's the note at the bottom of the school tax bill talking about, for those of 65, and I'm finding that a lot of people look at that and think it's enhanced star, and then they move on. So what we did this year is, with the help of Melanie Natali, the clerk in the office, we drafted a letter kind of outlining the available exemptions and letting people know about them. And then we targeted a mailing so we looked at the population who receive enhanced star, and then we took out the people who already get these exemptions and then sent a letter to everyone else. Because again, we just want to make sure people know that these exemptions are out there and they exist. And those letters, again, also have been streaming back in. Calls have been coming. And again, just the number of people that just didn't know these were out there. Assessors have certainly tried to get those out there. And in my office, we've tried to talk about those. But it's clear that we weren't being as successful in relaying that as we could have been. This letter seems to have been super successful, so I'm curious. Once the season's over, I'll be able to report back as far as, how many we sent, how many new people have received exemptions. But just the early indications are that this has definitely been worth the effort, and hopefully we're helping a lot of seniors make those tax bills a little easier to pay every year. Just as a heads up for anybody watching, again, the limited income senior exemption, one of the homeowners on the deed must be at least 65 years old by March 1st. It must be your primary residence. And then there's a whole formula that goes into this that, just call the office and we can explain it to you. But looking at your 2024 federal tax return, the household income has to be $58,400 or less in order to qualify. That's for the town and county. To qualify for school, depending on your district, but most of the districts are around 37,000 before that exemption kicks in. So it's a harder exemption to qualify for, so fewer folks get that one. But again, that's probably even more impactful for the folks who can. And then for limited income disability, that's for folks who are under 65, same income requirements in play. But the important thing to remember with this one is that it's not because you have a hang tag for your car. You actually have to receive a Social disability designation from Social Security. So it's not, literally somebody would be like, oh, well, I have a bum knee. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not what this is for. So that's as well. I mean, the veterans exemption is out there as well. We're finding some more folks that receive that as well. We've got the volunteer firefighter and ambulance worker. That one is well known to the population that is eligible to receive it. But we did send stuff out to BVA, Henrietta, and Brighton Fire just to make sure they've got the paperwork they need for their members in case any new members are eligible this year. And an even smaller sliver out there, but there's also a clergy exemption on the books here in Brighton. So there's a few of those there as well. So if anybody, again, any questions along this, don't hesitate, reach out. Again, the assessor's office number, 784-5215, and lots of stuff, townofbrighton.org/exemptions for all kinds of info on that too.
Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you for raising the profile on those and making sure everybody that's eligible for them knows about them and has the opportunity to apply for them. Matters of the town board. Then I do want to thank our ASL interpreters tonight. Sorry we kept you a little later than some nights, but we appreciate your service making us more accessible to the community. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, November 12th, here at Empire State University. Can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment of two particular persons?
Bill, I move that we go into executive session to discuss matters relating to employment of particular persons.
Second?
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Malin?
Aye. I do not anticipate that we'll be coming back out into public session after the executive session. So thank you, everybody, for watching or coming out tonight. Have a great evening.